Hey guys, Matt from Damond Motorsports here, and today we're going to show you servicing your brakes if you have installed the Damond Motorsports brass caliper bushings. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull off the dust caps on the back of the slider pins, just using a flathead screwdriver just to kind of pry and push these guys back. So we'll set these aside. Next up, we're going to take our 7mm Allen key or socket and then simply remove these slide pins. Once we get these out, we'll set them aside. If not already removed, we're going to want to pull off this spring clip here. A pair of pliers or even a screwdriver to pry it off should get it off. Next up, we'll just move the caliper out of the way a bit so that way we can access the bushing bores. So generally now, you're going to be replacing your brake pads on your vehicle, your rotor, whatever else you're doing during your brake service. But today we're just focusing on the slide pins, what's needed for those. So next up, we'll just take some rags, some paper towels, clean out the inside of these bores here. Just taking a piece of paper towel, sticking it through, try and clean out all that old grease from these bores. A little bit of brake clean can help as well. All right, next up, we're gonna wanna take and clean off our slider pins. If there's any corrosion, you'll wanna go ahead with some sandpaper and polish these up. Get them all nice and clean. So if one of your O-rings is torn or if you just want to replace them, we do include replacements in here. Next up, we're going to replace the O-rings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this O-ring out just with a pick, get under it, and then we're going to replace that O-ring. So we're going to use one of the additional O-rings that we include with the kit to get back into the caliper bushing. In order to do this, you just kind of work it into the groove like so. And to get it fully seated, we're just going to take our slider pin and work that O-ring back into its groove. So now that that's good, you should hopefully be able to get this slide pin in without damaging that O-ring. So now that we've gone ahead and performed our brake service, we're going to finish up with the caliper bushing. So we're going to take our brake specific lube. Do not use anti-seize. We're just going to apply some on the inside here. And we'll take our slider pins that we removed and cleaned earlier, install those, just kind of move them back and forth to work that grease in. Just kind of give them a push to make sure they get past that O-ring. Now that we've got our caliper bushings in place, we're going to get the caliper reinstalled and lined up on the bracket. And then we'll next tighten the caliper slider pins back into the caliper bracket. So we'll get these all nice and snugged. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to want to torque these slider pins in. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can just tighten them by hand. You don't want to go crazy tight with them. The torque spec for this is around 20 foot-pounds, around 25-30 Newton meters. So those are all nicely torqued in and we're good to continue on. So now what we're going to want to do is just kind of clean up any of the excess grease that's on the outside of these. Kind of give them a nice good wipe. And lastly, very importantly, we're going to install the provided caps. So we recommend always installing these. Without these, water can get inside, cause things to corrode. Not something we want. These are a very tight fit, so they can be a little tricky at first, but just kind of slowly work them on. And once they get over, they go on rather easily. And then lastly, we're going to put that spring back in place. So one honorable mention we're going to make is you're always going to want to torque your wheels whenever you're done pulling the wheels off the vehicle. With these Fords, if it's an M12 stud, it's generally 100 foot-pounds for the torque spec. And there you have it. So that's how you service the brake caliper bushings on your vehicle if you have installed the Damond Motorsports brake caliper bushings. We do recommend servicing them yearly. It kind of depends on a few factors. If you drive the car very often, you put a lot of miles on it, it's always good to recheck them, re-grease them every so often. Whenever you service your brakes, you're always going to want to service them. If you track your vehicle often, it's a good thing to check whenever you're doing your track inspections prior to going to a track day. So the main thing you want is to make sure that the slider pins are moving freely within the bushing and that the brakes perform as they should. So to learn more, we also have a written guide on our website. You can check it out at DamondMotorsports.com. And to get these bushings yourself, head on over to the website.